Okay, Jim, that's it. We call it.
What?
You guys finish them down! Screw them!
Nora, what the hell does this mean?
Oh, yeah. Do a couple more of those.
What's wrong with me?
You kill people!
It's a war!
What about now?
Yay! That was amazing.
Why? What'd you watch?
The 2023 version.
Thought you guys watched my movie.
We did. It was good.
Oh, man. We have a lot of questions, I think, but
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
how did you pull this off?
Gosh, I don't know. It's been a long time, first of all. I think I started working on that in the late 90s. And at the time it was kind of a hypothetical thing, you know, because I was thinking about the fact, well, I was I was very young, so I was thinking about, you know, if there was a war, I would probably be a war hero. I'd probably, you know, I'd probably save my platoon, that sort of thing, the kind of fantasies that, you know, young foolish men have. And I sort of thought, you know, we don't at the time, if you remember what it was like living in the 90s when I was, you know, in my 20s, in college. You're thinking, well, you know, the United States we're never going to have a war. We're at the end of history. And so it was just kind of speculation about, and I was kind of thinking about how people kind of long for conflict in their lives, and how if they had the chance to murder their neighbors, they might leap at it. And then, you know, 9/11 happened, right? I think about 2 months before we started shooting. And I really felt like everything that I had speculated about basically came true. That all of a sudden, you know, there was like a war hysteria in the country. And then we just kept making it. I mean, over the course of the next, you know, 4 years, while people were kind of going crazy.
4
So.
years. 4 years to make this movie?
I know why, but yeah, because I was living in LA. I went to USC, and so I was and I started working, you know, as an editor, and so we would come up during the summer, and because I'm from Fortuna, I grew up in Fortuna, and my mom still lived in Fortuna, so I'd kind of haul people back up and use a bunch of local people, and it just took a long time doing a movie that way. That was a very bad idea. I think we all thought, yeah, we're going to be, you know, we'll be done with this over the course of the summer, but it doesn't work out that way. I don't know if you've ever made a movie, but it quickly becomes nightmarish.
Was it all shot on film?
It was it was shot on a one chip DV camera.
Oh, damn.
Right. But 720 by 480 resolution. And so the 2023 remake was me blowing up all that footage to 4K and redoing some of the digital effects in 4K. And the reason I did that was because, you know, this movie's just been sitting on my shelf for a long time. And I thought, maybe there's some ideas here that I'm still, you know, I still kind of like. So I thought maybe I'd dust it off and see if anyone would watch it. And I guess 6 people did. So great, thanks. 7. there's a foot over there on the corner. Yeah, right. 7. So thanks for doing that. I appreciate it. It really validated that 6 months I spent redoing it.
Well, actually, I was just thinking if we'd done a better job of promotion, we probably could have filled Eureka Theater, in which case we'd want you to be here in person.
Eureka Theater, how many does it seat? 15, 20?
800, yeah.
Whoa. If you can get 800 people, sure, I'll come back.
No.
We lower that expectation to like 250.
Right. Okay, the front quarter of the theater is filled, then that's fine.
Do you ever get back this way? I understand you're in New York now.
I lived there, or well, my mom lived there until January, and she was evicted from her apartment, the apartment that I grew up in, by somebody named Tyler Franklin. Piece of shit, because because people want to raise rents to the market rates, and so he evicted all the tenants, and so now I moved her down to the Bay Area. So if this had happened, a couple months ago, I'd be there.
Wow.
And actually, then I moved to Rochester because my girlfriend works in museums, which are very much like the military in that, wherever there's an art crisis, she has to move to it, and so we've moved to Rochester. There's nothing on the shelves yet, so you can see.
Do you know anything about Access Humboldt and the community media operation here?
Of course I do, because I watch, videos of ballet or whatever is on that strange that channel with the strange aspect ratio.
Well, we were I think Nate was cracking up when you had in your film, you have the Ferndale City Council meeting, and that's the one city council that refuses to televise their meetings.
I'm not surprised by that. I remember when there was a controversy when they kicked out the reporter at the Ferndale City Council meeting because she was using a laptop, and they said her typing was disrupting them. The issues, the local issues. That's what I was trying to capture in the movie a little bit, was the bizarre local idiosyncrasies.
Are there any other films that you've been working on as of late or have revisited that you haven't done before?
When I was redoing the movie, it kind of whetted my appetite to maybe I should make another feature. But it really is a nightmare. And you really have to reconcile yourself to the idea that you're going to be asking, at least at the kind of no budget level, you have to reconcile yourself to the fact that you're going to be asking a lot of people for favors, and you're going to be asking them to do things beyond what they understand they're signing up for. To get something done, I see you guys keep looking at each other like you're thinking about making a feature. Is that correct?
These guys,
Yeah.
filmmakers right here.
Yeah.
Don't let me discourage you, but I'm just saying it was the worst thing I ever did. And so you have to reconcile yourself to this idea that you're willing to let all these people work for you and really what they're doing is helping you fulfill your vision and your whims, basically. And it's for you, it's not for them. If you have a budget, big directors, big movies, they maybe they can properly remunerate people, and so maybe it's worthwhile for crews in that case, but at this level, it's definitely not. And so you have to be okay with that. And I'm definitely not okay with that. I just read this book. I read the new biography of Stanley Kubrick, and I was just thinking the whole time, what a monster he was, because he had these people, you have people, hundreds of people working for you to realize your vision over the course of years. And in his case, he'd have somebody for AI, he had somebody designing a robot head at his house for 2 or 3 years that never got used for anything. And he was totally willing. He always tried to underpay everybody. He would tell them, I'm Stanley Kubrick, it's really going to benefit you to work with me. And then it turned out to be years of their lives that really wasn't worth their while to work with him. And so you have to be okay with that. And I can't quite get there. I kind of value other people's time and labor too much.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the distribution. So who might find it? I mean, is it just on YouTube or is there any other? Did you capture any return on this?
Definitely not. Back in the day, though, the first place we showed it, well, the first place we showed it was at the Wainema Cinema in Rio Del. And back when it was like a 3-hour movie, it was way too early to show it. And I just remember I remember that I couldn't, when I showed up and everyone showed up for the screening, I couldn't access the sound panel because it was locked for some reason. And so the movie was played at a deafening volume, which was like the first thing they mentioned in the review in the Time Standard the next day was that I don't know why the movie was so loud. It was deafening. So that was a bad experience. And then it got into the only place I submitted it to was Slam Dance, and it got into Slam Dance. So I was very excited about that, and I was right about a month before it was supposed to premiere at Slam Dance in 2005. I kicked the cable out of a hard drive, and I lost a terabyte of data, which had all the visual effects on it. And that doesn't seem like that much now, but at the time, a terabyte was, it was amazing that I even had a terabyte drive. So I spent a month trying to redo everything. And I was so tired by the time the Slam Dance premiere screening was supposed to happen. And I had the movie on a drive that I was just going to show up with. They said, please don't do it that way. But I said, I don't have time. I have to do it this way. And so I missed a series of flights. I fell asleep at the San Francisco airport, and I missed my own screening at Slam Dance. There were 2 more, but I missed what they called the big one, where all of the the industry people were going to be at. So that was sort of, that's how that stuff goes. But then I took it around to film festivals. It played at a dozen film festivals back in the day. And the only time somebody ever expressed interest in it were these people at Slam Dance, this group of people, and they said they wanted to have a meeting with us. So I was like, great, this is exactly how it's supposed to happen. Great. And they said, okay, we want to buy the movie, and what if we remake it? We're gonna take your idea, but we would just like to remake it and like make it right. We want to make it good. And of course, I thought, fuck you. I just made the movie. It's perfect. It wasn't. It was awful. It looked terrible. But I didn't know that at the time. I thought it was fine, and I was insulted by this. And so I said no. I stayed in touch with them. One of them actually optioned it for a few years after that. But these people then went on to make the John Wick series. So at the time they were, they hadn't made anything. They'd made a bad movie that was at Slam Dance. So I thought, I don't want them to remake my movie. And then they ended up being way more successful than me or anyone attached to this movie. So that's too bad. And as for other distribution, nothing.
And so you were showing it, what you just told us about, showing these at the film festivals. These were a different version of the movie that we just watched?
Well, it was, because it was made with the technology of the time, it was probably still a 720 by 480 movie. It was on a DVD. And I just kind of try to do things a little better working from 4K footage. I used kind of an algorithm to up-res the footage properly and kind of smooth out the staircasing and things like that. I mean, DV is terrible. DV is just awful. No one should make a movie that way. So I just kind of made it a little more tolerable to watch.
And so were you adding the special effects or just adding new special effects or just enhancing the effects?
Yeah, just enhancing, redoing it. I mean, I guess the big change is that the original movie was in color. And so I made it black and white so that I could do that thing where I just, the only color are the letter jackets. That's kind of the big thing that I changed.
It's a good change. And so I want to ask.
Took a long time. It was a pain in the ass.
It's down to me where the above headshots where you have the map and you either have like cars or canoes or blue and red dots moving around. How in the world did you do that?
Well, that was in the original one. I think I was just working with lower res footage at the time. That's just Google Maps. And then kind of probably stitching, in some cases, stitching things together because I changed the geography a little bit. Fortuna and Ferndale are not properly situated exactly. So I kind of made some changes and then probably stitched some maps together and then just, zoomed into it in After Effects. But that was, and that was something that's all in the original. And really what that solves is, times when you can't, I probably only had 3 cars at any one time. That's about what we could get together. So anytime you see something where you see all the cars turning around on the highway, things like that. First of all, they're not on the highway.
There they are.
They're pulling over.
Pull over. Pull over.
Secondly, there are probably just a couple cars and shot at different times. And then to show, 5 cars chasing 5 other cars, then you have to do that with dots. It's the only thing you can do.
Obviously.
Well, and all the canoes, and same thing with the canoes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't imagine that we had more than 3 canoes at any one time. Or maybe one day we had 5 for our big day, the day that we had those guys with with their racer from the kinetic sculpture race, with their skull and crossbones flag. I think we probably had 5 boats out there that one day.
Funny looking boat, Nora.
Hey, get that flag down.
But I mean, I guess the maps are a good example of how you try to take advantage of your limitations, Sometimes that constraint of not having all those people that you can, if I had money, I would just have all those people out there and then have enough cars, and then you wouldn't have the maps. And I think what is cool about the maps is that they remind me of, you do all the arrows and the explosions. And so it forced us to use a lot of maps, which is very much something you'd see in a war documentary, So it sometimes your limitations are, you can turn into an advantage.
So where did you go to high school?
Fortuna High.
I was going to ask, are you Fortuna or Ferndale?
Well, yeah, and that's probably where it had its origin, because I think even when I was a teenager, you kind of think, let's see, how would I destroy Ferndale? Like I think I'd put my cannon up on the palisade, and let's see where would I lure them to get them into a pincher movement. And so it just starts with like, okay, now I have to figure out what would motivate a war. And I think, and that was what was interesting is like, do you remember there's a scene where you see some old timers kind of talking on TV about the levee?
Well, he was one of them bastards that was sleeping while they were building it. We were all sleeping when they built it. We never even knew they were going to build it. I'm telling you, they never had no public comment on it or nothing. Nobody knew they were going to build it.
It's Save Fortuna.
Save Fortuna and drowned Ferndale.
Yeah, that's what happened.
And they're like, they built it without, we didn't even know what they were doing. That's real. That's real old timers in Ferndale, where I just turned on the camera and tried to get them talking about the levee, and they were still pissed off about it. The fact that Fortuna built a levee and they feel like that's what caused their flood. I don't know if that's true, but they think that, or at least the old timers used to think that. And I kind of like that part. That's probably the best acting in the movie. The only believable acting is those old guys, because it's real.
How did you get all your extras?
Haven't you watched Quagmire?
No.
Making of the milk can?
That's our next.
I'll watch it.
Okay, all right, check that out, because there's a whole part in there about where you get your extras, including the gas station, driving to the shoot. You find people at loose ends, and those those probably aren't the ideal actors, but that's who you need, is people who have free time.
I heard a rumor that Quagmire was once the feature film and Milk Can was the supplement to it.
It should be that way. Quagmire is a better film. Quagmire is more the kind of stuff that I make generally, which is just kind of self-reflective and ripping apart my own life. The Milk Can is me trying to make a movie, which I don't know if I should have done.
I'm glad you did.
But yeah, it did play after I took the Milk Can to film festivals. Then a few film festivals played Quagmire by itself. So that was kind of weird. I prefer it.
I'm a longtime fan of Quagmire, and I've seen the 2003 version of Milk Can.
Oh,
this was a recut, and it kind of blew my mind. And I noticed he used a lot of material that got cut, and this new version is, I mean, I always kind of liked the original 2003 cut, but this is.
There's always somebody.
So is there a lot out of the original film?
What in the world could you have liked about the 2003 version?
I liked it okay, and I saw why you considered it subservient to the making of documentary, but I still thought it was pretty good. I did, but this version, I felt realized the potential that I could see that you maybe saw when you started making it, or at least realized it more. And I was, it may not have realized your expectations. It never does when you're the one making it, but.
Yeah, for sure. I think this time, as I was doing it, I sort of expected that I would solve the endings somehow, in a way that I didn't the first time. I thought I would be able to edit a better ending, maybe come up with something. And then I got to the ending and I still couldn't solve it. I still couldn't come up with a good ending. Especially when you can't reshoot. I just thought somehow I'd be able to edit a new ending, but I couldn't. So, I mean, I think that's really structurally the weakness of the thing, is that I think if I was going to do it again, I would maybe suggest that the war didn't end. Like maybe I'd skip ahead 20 years and you'd kind of see that the town has gone back to normal, but maybe imply that, nope, it's still going on under the surface. They're just better about hiding it now. I'd do something like that, because when you're young, you try to come up with a pat ending, and just not satisfied with it now.
So I couldn't help. I'm hiding back here. I'm the eighth person.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't help but notice how timely and poignant many of the elements are when it comes to disinformation, propaganda, to the absurdity of getting sucked into conflict. Those are some really incredible insights. Was that what kind of drove a lot of your thoughts in writing, or is that just was it more for the humor effect?
I guess it was a lot of anger, just given what was going on. And but I mean it was largely written before like the Iraq War, like I said. And I don't know. I don't know. I guess everything in my life is always leavened with humor. I do a lot of activism and the way you get through something that is obviously futile is you laugh with your friends about it. And that's how you kind of get through it. I know it was a lot of, my friends and I working on this movie, we had a lot of fun in some ways when everyone wasn't just hating me, but we're still joking and enjoying ourselves. And all of the actors were quite funny. In Quagmire, you just see us cutting up and things. So yeah, I don't know. Comedy it's hard. It would be practically impossible for me to make just a sober movie. I mean, right now, I'm making a documentary about a shelter, a homeless shelter in Maryland, and I was just thinking that it's like, man, there's a whole part of me that's not in this project, because I can't do a lot of cutting up.
We did burst out a few times. I mean, it's really relevant. I think there's so many clever elements to it. I think it's really insightful and borders on like almost powerful in the sense that there are so many people that I think don't think about these things currently, and it's relevant to our community if nothing else.
Yeah,
It's very topical.
Well, do you mean the war lust?
Yeah.
Well,
I
misinformation, the rewriting the history part where the museum's redoing the story.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it's one of the reasons I like the ending is because they rewrite the history altogether and then they rewrite it again by making it disappear. And I think that's very it touches very much on what's going on right now in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I mean, obviously I did that. I think there's a couple things, me wanting to make that point, but me also wanting to use the Fortuna Depot Museum.
Lloyd, what you doing here?
I gotta guard the can.
Which was always one of my favorite places in Fortuna. In fact, a lot of the footage was just shots of things that they had in the museum, like that I couldn't use ultimately. Like they used to have this, they had the largest fishing line snag pulled out of the Eel River, and it really was quite big. It must have been like 10 or 15 fishing lines all and just a ton of lures all snagged together. And I tried to shoehorn all those things. They used to have this incredible lock collection. I don't know if they still have it up or not. They took down the fishing line snag, but I was trying to shoehorn all these things in about Fortuna, just because I grew up there and I was always so amused by them, and I couldn't quite get them all in. But so sometimes like somebody says, "Oh yeah, that was good. That was very insightful," and I was like, "I was just trying to get the fishing line snag in there." I was trying. It was actually the other way around, but thank you for saying that.
So did you have to get permits or let people know in town when you were had a bunch of people running around town with guns?
Have you? Yeah. As I said in Quagmire, I was communicating with the police to let them know that we would be running around with guns, and ultimately it just, because the movie stretched on for years, I just stopped. And so finally, they did show up a couple times. And because people would, call it in and they didn't know, they just got a call saying that, 10 people have guns out in the streets of Fortuna. And then a big problem was when we actually literally shut down some highway exits.
Gotta be kidding me.
To try to get the shots, and we tried to do it down south in I think we must have been near Red Crest, just trying to get out of town a little bit. And the CHP came by and they were not happy about that. That's all in Quagmire. But we none of us went to jail. I find that it's pretty. This has to be one of the advantages of doing this in a small town, is that you can usually just say, I'm really sorry.
Or drop a name.
And yeah, exactly. I know such and such who's you're probably related to, and then you can get out of it. Although I have to say, we really didn't get all the advantages of a small town that I was expecting. I sort of expected everyone to just come out and want to work on this movie, but maybe they'll do that for one weekend. But when you keep calling them over the course of 4 years, they get really tired of you.
So if we do set up a larger screening, what order should we do? Quagmire first and then this, or the other way around?
I don't know. I can't imagine watching them back to back, first of all. Secondly, I don't know or is it, do you appreciate what happened? I think you should probably watch Quagmire afterwards so that you can just see that.
I think so.
Like
With this version, you watch Quagmire after. I used to think Quagmire first and then the milk can was, but this version is so much better.
How did you see it in 2003? Who are you?
I was introduced to it by Jensen Roof.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's a big Quagmire fan.
Yeah, it's a cult movie. He indoctrinated me into the cult of Quagmire.
I appreciate that. I appreciate him pimping it.
Few people on Access Humboldt's board who it was mentioned to, and quite a few people were like, oh, I have stories about when it was filming, like my friends did this and da 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 da. I was like, okay, they were like, no, it's wonderful, and I'm like, I believe you. I'm so good. Waited to watch it till today, but they were like, no, there's this one scene. I'm like, don't spoil it for me.
If participants still
That's funny.
Yeah.
What's that?
The participants still tell the tale.
Yeah.
The people that were in it, they reflect positively.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder. I mean, I wonder if anyone has any positive memories, or that would be amazing if enough time has passed that they actually reflect positively on it.
That's the small town effect that you're
really
gonna get.
That's right.
It's the waves.
It's been a very long time though, as I was watching it and trying to figure out the end credits, trying to figure out who to credit. If you'll notice, the end credits just has a lot of first names in it. Yeah, because that's about all I can remember. I'm sure people's names are wrong. It's been a long time. I'd be amazed if anyone has accurate memories.
They probably don't, and that's what would be fun about kind of, playing this movie and getting everybody who was in it and being like, hey, we're gonna make this movie, come show up and
tell your story.
Tell a little bit of your story.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. It would be like the Shoah, like we'd all try to get an accurate oral history of this catastrophe that happened. And actually, the guy that I made it with, the so-called producer, although we didn't really have roles like that, my friend Seth, he has a perfect memory. He has a photographic memory. And so it would be funny to set up something where people talk about what they think they remember, and then he just corrects them.
Nice.
Yeah, that would be great.
Format.
No.
You don't have to license it either. I mean,
I know.
that's how you get a film played at the Eureka Theater. You have to pay the licensing fee. So
Really?
yeah,
Don't have to do that.
just don't have to do
I don't
that.
know anything about fees.
Good.
Never pay them, never charge them.
Is the original cut available anywhere?
I hope not. I mean, it's like, I mean, imagine if somebody's like, hey, I'd love to read the first draft of your book.
Yeah.
I want to see it now.
As a up and
You don't.
filmmaker, I kind of want to.
Oh, yeah, I want to see Quagmire.
We can watch Quagmire
Hmm.
on his YouTube page.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. is
So
it
yeah,
on
just go to YouTube, type in Quagmire.
Or you can send it to us.
All right, I'll send it to you. It's
Yeah.
easy to find on YouTube.
Yeah, please do that. I kind of thought I was gonna put the movie out, and I was kind of gauging like if anyone watched it, then I was gonna redo Quagmire in the same way, but you know, like got like 500 views, so I just posted Quagmire as it is.
Now you have 508.
On YouTube, and there's a similar number on our archives, because this is on our Access Humboldt archive, and there's about 500 views there too.
Right. I appreciate you posting it. Thank you. And playing it. So when I was home moving my mom, I just turned on the TV and it was on one night in a like a squished aspect ratio.
That's how we saw it the first time.
Is that channel 12?
Yeah.
As a filmmaker, you love to see that.
Yeah, right.
I just readjusted my TV. I hope everyone does that.
That's what we told Nate to do earlier today, actually, when he brought it up. You can actually fix that.
Oh, overscan that.
Yeah.
It happened to me too. I got scratched.
This was epic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being
Really
Thanks
appreciate
for
you being
watching it.
available for the conversation too.
Of course. Means a lot to me that someone's watching it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I hope we can put together this like a Eureka Theater showing and drum up some more, you know, interest and really get it out there and push the promotion.
Maybe we'll have to
forward.
show it in Fortuna or Ferndale. We can do a simultaneous screening in Ferndale,
that'd be
both
cool.
towns.
Fortuna's theater closed ever since the earthquake.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Oh, shucks.
Still not open, but maybe we could do a grand reopening.
Or we could do Winema seat and control. the-
Oh no. Or how maybe we could do a guerrilla screening at the Fortuna Theater.
Okay, yeah, nice. That would be in the spirit of the.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You really awesome work. Aloha.
Thanks.
Take
See
care.
ya.
Bye bye.